Here in Las Vegas, October 11th, 12th, and 13th, we are hosting the biggest land investing mastermind of all of 2024. Hundreds of land investors, a star-studded lineup of land investing speakers, coaches, and even folks that aren't even in the land space that are going to come and shift your perspective on what's possible in 2024 and beyond. We've got a few more tickets left for general admission. We're 100% sold out for VIP. Go to landinvestor.co/mastermind and grab your seat. All right, guys, I'm going to do a little Q&A here. We've got a bunch of questions here on my phone, and I'm going to go through these and answer them. We've aggregated a ton of questions over the last really 6 months, and I finally have a chance to sit down and go through all of them. So we're going to go through here and riff with you guys, and hopefully it is beneficial. We're going to cover everything: land investing, life, business, relationships, anything in between. So let's get started. So the first question is, what is the best CRM for land investors? Now, I haven't tried every single CRM out there, but I've tried a good number of them. And honestly, all of them work. They're all pretty good, but there's a few that I think are really stand out for land investors. And there's really two that come to mind. The first that we use within our business today is called Follow Up Boss. It's really a CRM built for realtors, but we have actually figured out a way to kind of mold it to make sense for land investors. Now, I actually learned this from Clint Turner back in 2020, I think. And really no one was using it then, and it's kind of become like a de facto standard in land. Now, the reason that I love using Follow Up Boss is the communication tools are amazing. Some of the best like phone systems and text systems and email systems out of any CRM I've ever seen. And well, that's about it. That's honestly why I love it. Everything else is kind of subpar. It's a bit mid, but the communication tools are so good. The drip sequences, the tagging, the staging, like there's some really, really cool features in there. Everything else has to be molded to make sense for land investors. The reason I'm still using Follow Up Boss, frankly, I've been using it for years, and it's been so difficult to get my team off of it. We've got tens of thousands of leads in there. My team is absolutely hooked on it. And I guess actually one thing that's a really standout about using Follow Up Boss is it has an iPhone app, and the iPhone app is actually amazing on this tool. A lot of CRMs don't have an iPhone app, or they have a subpar iPhone app. For my team, especially our acquisitions team, they use the iPhone app pretty heavily. And so if they have a hot lead that they've been working for, 3 months or 6 months or even a year, and they get a phone call on a Sunday, they're probably going to want to take that phone call, especially if we're talking about a major deal. Having that iPhone app and being able to be plugged into that, be able to respond to notes or messages within the app is just so, so nice. Now, the second is actually Pebble. I love Pebble. Pebble is amazing. I love the founders of Pebble. It is bar none the best land investing specific CRM out there. Now, like any tool, it's not perfect, right? It's definitely still growing and iterating and evolving. The two things that I mentioned, the iPhone app and the communication tools, are two things that I think it is certainly missing. Now, those are not deal breakers by any means. Those are deal breakers for us because we've been so entrenched in follow-ups, but it's certainly not a deal breaker. Everything else is unreal. One of the coolest things about Pebble is it's a database and then it's a CRM. So you can house all of your data within there. Instead of using Google Drives or all these weird file hierarchies, you can put them directly in there, have your database, and then pull it into your CRM. They just kind of merge and mesh together in such a clean way. They've got amazing stages. They have a really cool KPI dashboard. You can send mail directly out of Pebble. It's an amazing tool. Highly, highly recommend. So those are my two clear favorites. We actually built out kind of a Leah version of Pebble. So all of our own stages, kind of all of our own custom filters, like everything built out based on how we run the land business. And I've actually included a link down below for you guys if you want to go and check that out. It just essentially is pre-installed. You just go and sign up and you'll get immediate access to, I guess you could call it the Leah times Pebble version of Pebble. All right, the next question is, what is my daily routine? And my daily routine has changed a lot in the last 2 months, really. If you guys don't know, I'm actually in Bali, Indonesia right now. It's where I've moved officially, which is pretty exciting. I was living in Las Vegas. Before that, I was living in San Diego. I moved to Las Vegas for, honestly, tax purposes. I didn't really like Las Vegas at all. It lasted about a year there. My girlfriend and I were living there together. We had a beautiful, 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 delicious, fat, chunky English bulldog that was the love of our life. And unfortunately, in April, right before my birthday, she passed away unexpectedly. Within 3 days, she went from doing just fine to having to be put down. Obviously, it was a terrible experience. And we've always wanted to live in Bali. We had traveled here in March. And that was the push for us to say, all right, you know what? We've got nothing holding us down. We don't have kids yet. We've got no responsibility that's going to tie us to one place. Let's go chase our dream. So we're living in Bali, Indonesia right now. And with that, my whole entire schedule and frankly, my whole entire life has done a 180. So here's what it looks like in this kind of 2.0 version of my life living overseas. I wake up anywhere between 4 and like 4:45 a.m. every day. The reason that I do that is I have to be up to take meetings. Because everyone is getting ready to wind down and end their day in the US, I got to get up really, really early to catch them before they leave work. And so when I get up, I usually have about 30 minutes, maybe an hour, just to kind of get my bearings. No coffee, a lot of water. I I usually grab my little Kindle, I read a book. Right now I'm reading both the Bible for the first time ever and Genghis Khan, a book about Genghis Khan. Two very different books, two very interesting books. And so usually in the morning I like to try to get like a little inspiration. So checking out the Bible, there's a lot I love about it. There's a lot that's a little interesting to me, but just exploring, just trying to find something that fills me up, either builds up my curiosity or builds up some inspiration or just brings in some good energy for me. And so typically I'll read for like 30 minutes to an hour, or I'll do some stretching, or I'll do both. At that point, I'll usually have my first cup of coffee, usually about an hour, hour and a half since I've woken up. Here in Bali, since we're staying in Airbnbs, we don't have our house here yet. We actually get coffee delivered every morning. It's kind of interesting. So like literally coffee gets brought to us every morning on what's called a Gojek, which is like a little scooter service here in Bali. So usually that takes about an hour to get to us. So it works out perfectly. I think it times my caffeine ideally. I usually don't drink coffee right when I wake up, but it just gives like a really nice gap in between there. Drink my first cup of coffee, and usually I try to coincide that first touch of caffeine with my first few meetings. Now, unfortunately, I hate meetings. I absolutely hate meetings. And as it stands right now, I have 3 to 6 hours of meetings every day. It's definitely not ideal. Definitely not ideal. I think my best time happens in the morning. My best work, my most creative work, where I have the most energy, where I have the most excitement, happens in the morning. And unfortunately, with this little period that I'm in, a lot of that's being dedicated towards meetings. Now, it is a temporary thing. It's not always going to be like that. We're just juggling a lot of balls. There's a lot of things that are going on. Running 3 businesses. We're working on a 4th right now. So it's what's required in this season. But if I had it my perfect way, I would do all my meetings at the end of the day and all my creative work in the morning. As it stands now, though, I'll do my meetings. I will go grab breakfast with Sarah. So we go out to breakfast together. We do a little motorcycle ride together. It's amazing. It's one of the highlights of my day. 15, 20 minutes on the motorcycle together, wind in the hair, sun on the skin. We try a new restaurant every day. So we go to a new cafe, essentially every day here in Bali. And same thing for dinner. We pretty much go to a new restaurant every day for dinner. We'll go grab lunch together, go grab brunch together, come back home. Usually I'll work for like another hour or two, take like a 15 to 20 minute nap. Then I'll go do something physical. So right now I've been training boxing. So I'll work with my boxing coach, or I'll go spar, or I'll go work out, or I'll go run. Something to get me moving, something to get me sweating, something to kind of clear me up. Go grab an acai bowl, go grab some kind of fruit, some kind of smoothie, some kind of protein. I don't know, something delicious. Ideally something with a lot of fruit. I love fruit pre and post workout. If I had it my way, I would eat fruit for like a third or 2/3 of my meals every day, and then have like a big steak at night. That's like the ideal food setup for me. Then usually at that point, I'm answering messages, going through Discord, going through Slack, going through email, going through text, like just getting caught up, doing some small work here and there. Then Sarah and I will usually go for a walk together, go to the beach, go watch sunset, maybe smoke a cigar. Sarah doesn't partake. That's just for me. Drink a coconut on the beach, watch the sunset, watch little cute dogs run around, go out to dinner together, come home, watch a little bit of Netflix, we watch some Vikings, and then call it a night. It's honestly kind of the perfect day. And honestly, my weekends and my weekdays don't look that much different. I work a little bit less on the weekends for sure, but it's really kind of the same exact setup, and that's exactly how I like it. Minus the meetings. I hate meetings. All right, next question is, what was my first land deal? It's a great question. So I stumbled into the land business in 2019. I heard it on a Bigger Pockets podcast. I was trying to get into wholesaling or house flipping or something like that. Said land sounds a whole lot more interesting. I had no interest in houses at all. I just figured that was like a really easy way to make money. I was so naive and so wrong. But I was like, land is interesting. I grew up in Big Sur. I grew up in a family where owning land was the thing to do. Like everyone owned land, they farmed on their land in a small way, like provided for themselves through the land. They had horses and sheep and goats, and that was just kind of the world I grew up in. So land was always of interest to me. I was always around land. So I was like, that sounds a little more up my alley. And I knew I could buy land for $1,000, $2,000. And at that time, I didn't really have that much money. So I was in a Bigger Pockets podcast, started handwriting letters in 2019. Didn't get any deals from that. Got close, got some phone calls, but no deals from the handwritten letters. Sent out my first campaign at the end of 2019. Got my first deal in February of 2020. And that deal was a small little infill lot. It was a worthless infill lot. It had no utilities, dirt road. I mean, it was just worthless. I think it was about a 1/4 acre. It was in an undeveloped part of Pahrump. So Pahrump is kind of like the adjacent city west of Las Vegas. It's like the ugly stepchild of Las Vegas. At least it was at the time. And this was on the outskirts of Pahrump. So it was like the ugly stepchild of the ugly stepchild. I can't remember exactly what I bought it for. I think it was for $1,200, and the family was going and moving to the Philippines. They needed money for their trip, and they wanted to liquidate it. They bought it like 30 years ago. They'd never seen it once. I was like, God, that's interesting. They're selling it. They've never seen it once. Didn't really know how to run comps, but I pulled up like Zillow. I saw that quarter acres were trading anywhere from like $2,800 to like $10,000. So like a really wide spread. I didn't understand that the reason that there was a spread there was like location, like proximity, where they were in the city, access to utilities, things like that. I had no idea. So I just figured, you know what, I'm going to price it at the bottom of the market and I'm going to bring it to Facebook. I didn't even know how to use the MLS, didn't really know how realtors work. I didn't know any of that stuff. I brought it to Facebook, listed it somewhere around $2,800 and sold it. Sold it within like 2 to 3 weeks. Sold it to a gal that was living in Michigan, called me up. She PayPal'd me the money. The rest was history. I was off to the races. I went and did like another dozen of those little lots in Pahrump. And that's really the market that I cut my teeth. The irony is I've actually got friends today that make multiple six figures a year just flipping land in Pahrump, like multiple people that I know. And so Pahrump is actually kind of appreciated and changed and blown up. Now, those properties have not really appreciated. They're still low intrinsic value, but it's been funny to witness people like really cut their teeth in what I thought was just the worst market ever. Like, and once I got out of there, I'm like, this place stinks. I just was doing the wrong deals there, which is pretty ironic. So that was my first deal, and yeah, changed my life. All right. Next question is, what is one tool I can't live without within my land business? I'm not going to answer the question directly. I'm going to say there's actually 2 tools I cannot live without in my land business. And this is the honest truth. There really are 2 tools that I could not see myself not having within my land business. The first is Land ID. I think Land ID is bar none the best due diligence tool out there for mapping properties. It's not even close. Like, there is nothing even remotely close to Land ID. I give them their flowers. They built an amazing tool. The UI is amazing. Like, it's just a great tool. It's well priced. It has the best overlays. Land ID, I think, is a non-negotiable. I think you can get an account for $12 a month. In fact, I think I have a discount code somewhere. If my team says I do, they'll put it in the description down below. But I think it's a non-negotiable. Now, it took me like 2 years, maybe 2.5 years to ever get a Land ID account, which is bananas. And I don't know why it took me so long. I was using Data to map all my properties, which out of the gate is fine. Like, it's good enough, but you're missing a lot. There's a lot of overlays you're missing, namely like wetlands overlays. Like, there's some really important stuff that you're missing, and the maps just are nowhere near as good in my opinion. So Land ID. The second one is an obvious one, that is going to be Land Insights. It's actually a tool that myself and my co-founders built over a year ago, which exactly a year ago, which is crazy that it's grown so much since then. Hey, I want to let you know that Land Insights is opening up seats. If you don't know what Land Insights is, it is our AI platform that allows you to go and aggregate all of the counties, all of the zip codes all across the US to find the hottest land investing markets. It'll also allow you to see all of the pricing insights, all the prices that have sold within the last 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and then give you interpretations based off how you should be pricing your offers, show you if pricing a blind offer in a given market is even a possibility. We have a Genie scoring system, which shows you how homogenous the pricing is within a market. Essentially, it's the greatest thing that's ever been invented since sliced bread for land investors. It even has a feature that'll scrub all of your data, remove landlocked, flood zone, all the junk properties you wouldn't want to market to. It does it all. It skip traces your properties. It'll find you realtors. It'll edit your drone photos. It's bananas. And frankly, if you don't have access to this in 2024 and beyond, I think you're getting left in the dust. Go to landinsights.co/apply. Come hop on a call. We will show you exactly how this tool works A to Z. See you inside. It started out as just a market selection tool. Like, we saw the land business changing. It was harder to sell land. Markets that we were working in before were souring, and it was getting really, really difficult to find buyers, and margins were getting compressed, and we're having to fire sale property. So the thesis was like, let's go and figure out how to find the best markets in the US. And it started as a newsletter. I find that so interesting. All the businesses that I've ever been a part of always start as something, and they end up not remotely like that at all. And that's just kind of the natural trajectory of building things. And I always love to just kind of reflect on, how funny it is where we are now versus where we were then. And it's just a really cool mile marker to look back on. But it started as a newsletter. It started as a newsletter of having an army of VAs go and scrub the US. Now, initially we were doing that for ourselves. They were manually scrubbing and updating this data every single month. And then they started doing it. We had like the bright idea, well, why don't we give this to people? And so we were going to build out a newsletter. We ran into all sorts of complications. Namely, we couldn't get the VAs to deliver all 3,000 counties in a timely manner. We were collecting like 52 data points per county, and it was taking so much time. It was going to be impossible to refresh this at a consistent clip without spending $25,000 or $30,000 a month on VAs. And it doesn't even speak to the fact of having to manage them. So we were like, okay, this got to be a better way. So we started getting into the code side of things. We started hiring engineers. We started hiring engineers from the University of North Carolina. These are kids that hadn't even graduated college yet. We're like, all right, we're going to pay, a couple 5 figures here. Let's just go and build this for us. And they built it on Tableau to start. It was a clunker. Anyone that's OG V1 Land Insights, you know what a clunker it was. But the premise was correct. The idea was correct. The value was still there. It still was unearthing markets that we would never otherwise have been able to discover, because the thing in land is you have a real bias. Your bias is I'm going to look for markets in Texas, or I'm going to look for markets in California. But really what we're looking for is we're looking for the honey holes. We're looking for the honey holes where our own bias doesn't get in the way. And so you start working in weird markets in the middle of Wisconsin or what have you, places that otherwise you would have never found, that right now are kind of having their season. Right now, there's a supply and demand imbalance. And on top of that, we can actually go and see all the pricing information. So what Land Insights looks like today is so much beyond that. I mean, it'll allow you to find realtors, allow you to scrub your data, to remove all the bad properties, to 2x your ROAS, it'll find, edit your drone photos, it'll find zip codes, counties, pricing information. We've got a comping tool coming out. It's got an unlimited data platform for ownership data. Like, it has turned into a behemoth and a juggernaut. But it started as something really simple. But frankly, our team lives and dies by that tool. Now, the cool thing is within Land Insights, we're always iterating. I mean, it's really pretty much every week there's new features being released. And then every quarter there's been like big features being released. For example, in September, we're releasing our drone editing tool in there where you can go upload your property images and kind of edit them based off of our standards, which one of the things that we've seen in this market cycle, and I think just in general in land, like good photos sell. Good photos sell, good marketing sells, syndication of listings sells, and I see so many land investors that are struggling to sell their properties right now, and their properties, they look terrible. The thing is, like, retail buyers, they're emotional. They're trying to see this kind of emotional appeal, and that happens initially in the marketing, right? That's for the same reason when a buyer pulls up to your property, if it's all wooded and they can't see the interior of the property, they're going to say it's not for me. If you had brush hogged it and made it look pretty, they're like, this is amazing. I can see the vision, right? So that's coming out in September. We don't have a brush hogging feature coming out. That would be interesting though. Data platform comes out in November. So 6-cent a la carte data if you're a Land Insights user, or unlimited data if you're on our unlimited data plan. The unlimited data plan is more affordable than any data provider that exists out there. It's pretty insane. With that comes free scrubbing and discounting tools and discounted scrubbing. There's a whole bunch that comes with that. The comping tool is coming out in January. There's just so many iterations that are coming out. Now, the cool thing is, like, we already in our business have access to a lot of that. And if you were to stack up the value, I mean, we're saving over, I'd say 180, maybe 200 hours a month just for our team's time. That doesn't even speak to the time that it would take to go and run a team to select those markets. That would be thousands of hours. So it's incredible. It made our marketing wildly more efficient. Our days on market have tightened. We just had a deal that we listed. Within 24 hours, it had 2 offers. It was a subdivide. And within like 5 days, it had another offer. It was 4 lots that we created. So 3 of the lots sold in under 5 days. And that's all credit to Land Insights. Like, we never would have discovered this market. It's a bizarre market. It's a market that I'm like, I would never have thought in a million years to go and pursue this. But we just let the data speak. And so we've kind of removed the emotional aspect of like, I buy land in Texas. What's up, guys? I want to let you know that my team's put together a ridiculously amazing webinar, and we are releasing it for free. If you want to get access to it, it's over at landinsights.co/unfair. It's all about creating your unfair land investing advantage, how we're using data and AI to build an unfair advantage where no one can compete with us, how we are getting deals in the best markets, how we're getting deals that no one else is getting access to, how we're creating super accurate offers for our marketing, and how we are removing 50% plus of all of the waste within our marketing to 2x our ROAS. If that sounds interesting, go to landinsights.co/unfair. All right, next question. What is the worst deal I've ever done? It's hard to say because there's the worst in terms of the biggest mistakes I've made. There's worst in terms of like what took the most, like what was the biggest waste of time or took the most time. And then it's like, what's the one that did the worst financially? Luckily, we haven't had any like devastating financial deals. We've had some where we've, made a couple $1,000 when we thought we were going to make $50,000. We've had some that we broke even on, but those are all probably in the range of like half a dozen deals. But we definitely, I would say in the last year and a half, 2 years, have had a lot of deals that have underperformed. And that's interesting. And that's partially, again, just being in the wrong markets, right? Markets that were getting worse and we didn't see the writing on the wall because we weren't so data orientated and we got left holding the bag. And so deals where you think you're going to make 100 grand and you make 20 grand, we've had more than a dozen of those in the last 2 years. And that was something that I had never experienced prior to 2022. Like, that was really a big turning point in this business. So the worst deal, I think, bar none, like the biggest due diligence, stupid mistake I've ever made would be a deal that I bought in Riverside, California. Though luckily I was early on in this business. I was pretty green behind the ears, but I bought a deal that I couldn't believe how I got such a good deal on it. I bought it for $3,200. I'm like, this is impossible that it's this cheap, because I could see properties were selling in the general vicinity for like $30,000, $40,000 for an infill lot. Now, my comping skills back then were limited. I mean, I'm looking in like a 30-mile radius and being like quarter acre versus quarter acre, it must be the same thing. What I didn't realize is I bought it in a subdivision that actually had a moratorium on building. So you couldn't build. You could allegedly could never build on the property. It was essentially worthless. And so I held onto that property for over a year. Shockingly, I sold it to a guy who's in the military, fully disclosed. I'm like, dude, this has a moratorium. Like, you can't do anything with it. He's like, no, I don't care, man. I just want to say that I own land. It was just like, I want to be able to pass it down to my kids. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And I think we bought it for like $5,000, something like that. And I mean, look, that's the beauty of this business. You can get out relatively unscathed, even when you make big whoopsies. The problem for me though is that like I was just so naive. And so that one I was kicking myself for a long time. And it took a boatload of time to get that thing sold. The thing that people don't realize on bad deals is it's not just so much that you don't hit your targets for what you thought you were going to make, or it's not so much that you just lose money or break even. It's the time that goes into it. So having to sort through 300 Facebook leads and text people and call people on the weekend when they're trying to get to the property and giving them the coordinates, that's the real son of a gun that eats you alive. And so that leads me to the next worst deal ever, I would say, which is actually a recent. It was an entitlement project that we tried to take on for the first time ever in Augusta, Georgia, and just got absolutely smoked on this one. Not financially, okay? We still did okay on the deal. Nowhere near what our expectations were. We ended up just flipping the property. I mean, yeah, we did not great, but we made something, right? As a percentage, it was not great, but we still probably, created $75,000 or $80,000 in positive spread, but there's cost of capital. There's a lot that goes into that. So that deal was one of the worst deals, if not my least favorite deal I've ever done, because so much time went into this deal. So much time. I mean, I'd say collectively for myself and my team, hundreds of hours, maybe 100, 200 hours, like an unbelievable amount of time working with the county and working with engineers and trying to work with developers and going back and forth and kind of, scheming on this deal and trying to figure out how we're going to make it work. And there are so many times where it looked like the deal was going to like pan out. Like we found the solution. Because the thing with like development entitlement, like it's really a game of like who's willing to like just butt their head against the wall the longest. Cause like you just hit roadblock, and it's like, can you think outside of the box and find a creative solution? And as an example of that, we had underwritten the deal. We had gotten some like kind of preliminary yeses from developers, but like no LOI, like nothing in writing, but like some like, yeah, we'd be interested and your price sounds right, okay. Like no one gave us that much insight, which looking back, we definitely should have started with like the end in mind and having like a clear, like this is what you want, this is what you're willing to pay, these are the kind of lots you want, it's a quantity of lots that you want, like maybe even an LOI, like something that's a little more concrete. But again, we were just naive. So that was a big problem. But what we learned is our lots were too big. Okay, we were creating, I think 52 lots. They were too big. Never thought that would be a problem, right? Because these are still infill lots. I'm like, too big? These are like whatever, less than half an acre. They're like, I forget, like 0.3 acres, something like that. So I'm like, too big? People like having a house on a big lot. They're like, developers are like, no, we won't build on those lots. I'm like, what the F? But we want, I forget what it was. Like it was under a quarter acre. It's like whatever, 0.15 acres or something like that, like half the size. So to do that, we'd have to rezone the property, right? I'm like, I don't want to go through a rezoning. So they're like, we're scheming, trying to figure out the solution to it. And then we find, well, there's actually a 40% open space rule in Georgia. So if we leave 40% of the property open, we can actually double the quantity by reducing the size of the lots without having to rezone the property. We already had a lot of open space. So to get to that 40% open space, actually, we weren't that far off from it. But right, okay, we discovered it. We fixed it. This deal goes on. Like, this is amazing. We're going to go create whatever, 100 plus lots. Like, we're so golden. This deal is going to crush. And then it was like, but the road that you're going to create that off of, sorry, you can't support that many lots off of it. That road won't work for it. I'm like, okay, what do we do? They're like, I don't know. Like there's a main county road, whatever, 300 yards away, but it doesn't butt up to your property. So are we looking on the map? We're looking like, oh, okay. Well, there's a vacant lot adjacent to ours. Let's just call up that owner and see if he wants to sell. Funnily enough, we actually find that property listed on LoopNet. Property's listed on LoopNet for like 5 years at $450,000. Now, this property that we had initially bought, we had bought at $315,000 that we were entitling. We underwrote it as being able to sell probably right around like 1.2, maybe 1.4, like best case scenario, with $150,000 of entitlement costs. So looked like a great deal. We had the quotes, like we had, yeah, the math looked awesome. So we're like, well, okay, we can't pay him $450,000. That deal's not going to work. So we're like calling this guy for a week, trying to chase him down, and finally get a hold of him personally, not his broker. Finally get a hold of him personally. He's just playing tough ball. He's like, I won't take less than $400,000. Right? Okay, still won't work. So we worked this guy for literally over a month. We finally get this guy down to $200,000. So we're like, okay, $200,000. We're going to be all in on our property for like the mid fives. Then we've got the entitlement costs. So let's say that we're all in for like 650, 700K. But now we're going to go create 100 lots. Like this could easily be worth 2.4, 2.5, something like that. We're like, okay, the math is still mathing, perfect. But then this guy pulls the plug on us at the last minute. We send the contract, we're ready to go. Says, no, I don't want to sell. We're like 3 days away from closing on this first property, and we ended up closing on it because we figured we could throw a Hail Mary and figure something out. Sure enough, we weren't able to. And so there was just so many moments like that, so many of these dead ends that we ran into. And the thing is, not only was it a waste of time and not only was it challenging, I didn't even enjoy one bit of it. I didn't enjoy 1 minute of it. I realized in that process that that would be the last industry I would ever want to be a part of. I have no interest, zero interest. Land development, snooze fest. Building stuff, I mean, I like building things, but like, I don't know, building like cheap homes, snooze fest. I'm not interested. Dealing with like city council meetings and like annoying neighbors and like having your whole entire like livelihood of the deal being in the fold from some dude that lives 2 states away that wants to pull the plug on you at the last minute. No, thank you. I'm either too much of a control freak or I'm too creative to want to mess around in that world. And it's like, you got to be like the spreadsheet jockey. It's just not me. It's not me. So learned a lot in that process, but I would definitely chalk that up as honestly, that would probably take the cake of the worst deal that I've ever done for not financial reasons per se, but for all the reasons that I just listed. All right, the next question is, what am I working on within my own business and what are my goals? So it's definitely changed. It's changed a lot. You know, you kind of think that like everything is about this linear growth path and I'm going to grow revenue. We're going to do more deals. I'm going to bring on more team members and we're going to keep on chugging down that path. I've actually kind of started to zag the other way. I want a smaller team. I maybe want to do less deals. I want to do bigger, better deals. I want to do smarter deals. I want to create more value in the deals that we do without being a developer. And I want to work exclusively with A players. And I want to have an amazing culture. Like I actually want to genuinely like the people that I hang out with. Like I want to get together with them on a regular basis and do cool stuff together. I want to smoke cigars together, work out together, experience life together. Like that's what I want. I want work to serve all of us. I don't want it just to work to be a means to an end to make money. I want it to be a culture and a community. And I want to work on things that I find enjoyable. And I don't find doing development enjoyable. I don't find entitlements being enjoyable. I don't find running a stressful business doing 500 deals a year enjoyable. I want the business to serve me and I want the business to serve my team. I want my team to make great money. I want them to feel like they have a real career path and like a cool trajectory to build something for themselves and for their family. And I want to have fun every day. And so that does not look like that linear growth at all. And frankly, like what I'm optimizing for has changed radically. But the truth is, in the beginning of my land investing career, I didn't even know what I was optimizing for, other than I think I need to make some money because I'm pretty poor. Or I'm poor and I don't think I'm good. I think I'm not good enough. So maybe if I make money, I'll be good enough, right? And I've really just shed that skin entirely. Business is no longer a way for me to validate myself. Making money is no longer a way to validate myself. It's really purely a game just for fun. It's ultimately just a game. It's here to serve my team. It's here to serve me. I want to enjoy working with great people. I want to work with competent people. I don't want to work with people that are incompetent. I don't want to work with stupid people. I want to work with people that are awesome. And one of the things is when you're growing a big team, like sometimes you need butts and seats, and sometimes it's like, well, they're kind of like a C plus or a B minus player, but we're growing so quick, I can't worry about hiring someone new. So like you start to build a team of troglodytes, you know, and like thank goodness most of my team is not that. But you make these concessions there because it's like we're on this rocket ship and we're growing. And, you know, I can't afford to do that. I don't want to do that. And so my goals have changed a lot. And I want to be innovative. I don't want to just be this one-trick pony that's like, I send direct mail and I do deals. Like, that's not creative to me. I'm a creative dude. I might not be an artist, but business is a way for me to create. Like, business is my art. Art is creation, and creation is life to me. And so I want to be able to try things and experiment with things. And that's really where I draw fun from business. Like, I come up with these hypotheses and these theses and these concepts and these ideas. For example, I'll fill you in on a little secret. One of the reasons that I decided to do this Q&A was I wanted to figure out if I could duplicate myself through AI to have AI make videos for me. I don't know if it's going to work. It's a hypothesis, right? Like, I love testing and tinkering and running experiments. That is the joy of business for me. And so that's where I want to spend my time in the land business. I want to try things like we're running cold email experiments right now, or I want to try to figure out how to go and source crazy deals that have title problems and have AI go find them for me. Like, I want to experiment. I want to have fun and I want to be creative. Now, does that mean I'm the biggest land investor? No, I've never been the biggest land investor and I'll never be the biggest land investor. And I have zero aspirations to be the biggest land investor. And I'm totally cool with that. And honestly, for me, like, I don't know where I'm going to end up in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. The thing is, like, I can guarantee you only one thing. And that one thing is I will be a guy that lives many, many lives within my life. I will be the guy that becomes a professional trampoline artist, maybe a therapist, maybe a professional paraglider, maybe a food reviewer, maybe a blogger. I don't know. I want to wear a lot of different hats and I want to experience a lot of different things. Now, I think business will always be a backbone of everything I do. There will always be some kind of business baked in because I think business is amazing. But I don't even know if land is going to be the thing for me forever, and that's okay. The next question is, what are you optimizing for in your life right now? Really good question. Amazing question, I'd say. That's a very much a Sumner question. It's changed a lot. I would say on the business side, I'm optimizing to be a creator, not in terms of making videos, but being creative. I'm optimizing to remove all the stuff I hate off my plate, like meetings. And I'm optimizing for being able to try and start and run a lot of different things. My dream in a weird way is to be like my own little private equity firm where I start and spin up businesses and I find amazing people that want to run them and have opportunity and be a CEO and be a leader and say, take the reins. Like, I'll go 0 to 1, you go 1 to 10, let's do this thing together, and partnering up and finding people that have complementary skill sets. Because honestly, I do think, and not in a braggadocious way, I think I am world class at starting things. I really do believe that. I think you could throw just about any weird problem, I'd be really good at starting it. I'm not the guy to take it to the finish line, and I know that, but I need to find people that are the finish line type people. And I think it's part of the reason that Land Insights has been so successful is that I've finally found a team that's counterbalanced me, and we've got that yin-yang dynamic. Rylan is the guy that's in the ops. Like, he's making sure that the ships don't burn every day, and we need someone like that, right? Kyle, we couldn't build any of this without Kyle, right? Kyle is the architect, the designer, the coder, the guy that's actually been able to take these wild ideas and piece them together. And Rylan and I have kind of been like the inspiration loop for some of these land ideas because we've been so entrenched in the land world. And Kyle's been able to take a lot of that stuff and say, okay, cool, I think I know how to implement that. Like, there's just been this really cool synergy, and I want to create more of that. And I am creating more of that. I'm actually in the process of doing that all over again right now. So I don't necessarily want to buy businesses per se, but it's certainly a possibility. But I really love starting things, and that's what I love the most. But I want to find amazing people, like world-class people I love, people I respect, people that are high integrity, and partner with them and find folks that have a skill set that I don't have. So that's on the business side. On the life side, I'm optimizing for fun. I want to have fun. Like, I genuinely want to have joy in my life. I'm optimizing for faith. I don't know what that looks like for me. I don't assign or prescribe to any one religion, but I'm trying to figure out what my faith is. I want to connect to source, to God, to the universe. I think that there is obviously so much more to life than what we have been led to believe in this kind of day and age of living in a developed first world country. Like, in the Western world, our connection to source has been severed. And I think that's part of the reason there's such an existential crisis in the world is like these developed nations have lost touch with God, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm looking to reclaim that back in my life. And maybe I've never even had it in my life. I don't know. I'm looking to understand what that is. Because I think every human being, no matter how perfect your life is, can relate that there is always a hole in your heart. Only can be filled by the knowing, the understanding, and the remembering of where you came from and what you're connected to and what you're a part of. Life is beautiful and it's important, but it's almost meaningless at the same time. At least without that. That's your anchor point. That's the unwavering and unconditional love that has been cast down upon us from whatever, the creator. I don't know what it is. But you feel those moments of that in your life and you recognize that nothing is important. I think it comes first in a weird way. But I still don't know what that is. I still don't know how to cultivate that. But I think I will be a better person in the world if that's my backbone, if that's my baseline. Right? I don't want to worship false idols. I don't want to chase things that are fleeting and fickle like success or power or money or whatever. And so that's a big part of what I'm optimizing for. And I don't really know how to go about it. I'm just taking one step at a time. I'm optimizing for being a great partner. I want to be an amazing partner to Sarah. I want to be a provider. I want to be a rock of stability. I want to be a leader for our family, for our relationship. And so that's something that I'm optimizing for. And that means making different choices, making different decisions, having a different set of values, and thinking more long-term, thinking about the us instead of just the me. And beyond that, I'm optimizing to scare myself. I want to scare myself. I want to ride motorcycles every day. I want to try fighting. I want to try doing things that scare me. And I think through that, you start to discover who you are. Those moments where you're like, God, I didn't think I could do that, and I did it. there's such a, I don't know, there's just a beauty that comes with it. There's just a recognition of what you're capable of and what we are all capable of, but it's like kind of the use it or lose it phenomenon. You got to put it to the test to really feel it. So I'm looking to do more of that. And last but not least, I'm looking to travel. And last, but certainly not least, I'm looking to take care of those in my life. Anyone that is rocking with me, anyone that is working with me, anyone that stands behind me, anyone that believes in any of the things that I've ever done, I want you guys to be so unbelievably successful. I want to pour into every person I come across, and especially the people that I work with. I want everyone to feel like they are in a position to where they have the vehicle, the roadmap, the blueprint to change their life. I don't want this to be about me. I don't want business to be this self-serving more for me. I want it to be for us. I want anyone that's in my corner to win big. I want to take care of those in my life. It's really important to me. Hey guys, I want to let you know that I've released a free Chrome plugin for land investors. It's a comping tool. It's going to save you 30 minutes to maybe even an hour a day with your comping on sites like Redfin, like Zillow, like land.com. It's amazing. Our team and I have been using it for over a year, and we've got over 600 folks that are using it every single day within their land business, and it's 100% free. Go over to landinsights.co/Chrome. All right, the next question is, what does my fitness routine look like? Whatever the heck I want, honestly. I just try to keep it fun. I try to keep it interesting. I try to be dynamic. I was 115 pounds when I was 17 years old. I was the smallest kid in my high school by a large margin. And of course, as a man, it was a deep, deep, deep insecurity for me. And so I went on this quest my junior year of high school to figure out how the hell can I gain some muscle. I went all in on the bro classic bodybuilding stuff. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I was eating 2 entrees at dinner. I would grab dessert after. I would eat a whole entire box of spaghetti. I would chug gallons of milk daily. Like, it was disgusting. But from my junior to my senior year, I went from 115 to like 165 pounds when I graduated. Of course, I was lifting weights on top of that, but I didn't really even have a car at that point. So I'd take my mom's brown Mazda MPV minivan from the 1990s. I'd drive that to a little hole-in-the-wall gym. And when I could, I'd go work out. I'd work out 3 days a week, plus or minus. I don't say this to exaggerate, but I would literally go in the gym and make myself cry. Why? I don't know. Maybe I was just a weakling, but I wasn't crying from the difficulty of the working out. I was crying because I had never felt once in my life momentum. I never once felt in my life that I could actually change something, that I was capable of saying, I'm here and I can go from here. That was the first time I'd ever witnessed that, and it brought such this explosion of emotion out of me, and I was hooked. I had never felt momentum. I never felt that I was actually capable of changing something. So I went all in. I mean, all in, broed out to the max. And so I still obviously have a bit of a bodybuilder physique, and it's kind of honestly the remnants of that. Like, I can't really shake it off, which is the beauty. Once you start building muscle, it is so hard to lose it. It's really easy to gain it back, even if you do lose it. And so it's kind of something that you develop for life. You also develop the habit for life. There is no way I could never be, ever not be a fit person. It is in my identity to push myself every single day physically. It's just a non-negotiable for me. And that's not like a superiority thing. That's just ultimately I need it to stay sane, and I need it to hold myself to a certain standard. The crazy thing about getting in shape, and this is just the honest truth, I think anyone that's gotten in shape will tell you this. It's so weird. And I'm not saying this again to be braggadocious at all. People look at you different when you're in shape, and I don't do it for that reason at all. Like that was not the reason. I mean, I guess in the beginning it was to not be insecure, but it wasn't like I want all eyes on me or I want something on that level. It was I want to feel good about myself, and I want to be in momentum, and I've never felt any kind of change like this. But the crazy thing is, people do treat you different. People do treat you different, and it's not because it's the aesthetics or like, oh, the muscles are visually pleasing. No. People treat you different because it says something about your values. It is an instant snapshot to what you care about and the things that you uphold, withhold within your life. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily it shows your character per se. I think that's taking it too far. But I think it says something about your values. And I think it says something about having discipline. And the truth is, most humans have no discipline. Most humans are their own worst enemy. And so people do treat you different because of that. It's not even about the visual appeal. It's like, oh, okay, that tells me a quick kind of snippet that you might be a little bit different. And that's just kind of an interesting insight that I've discovered from being not in shape to being in shape. You definitely do get treated different. So, long story short, I lift weights 4 to 5 days per week in the gym. I wouldn't say it's like classic bodybuilding style. I definitely do bodybuilding movements, but I do focus on strength. I'll have days where I go a little bit higher reps. I do a decent amount of cardio. So I go through seasons where I'll run a lot. So I'll go through seasons where I run about 20, maybe 25 miles a week. I never really get past that. Once I start going past that, I feel like I start to injure myself, especially with like all the other physical pursuits. It definitely starts to encroach on my ability to recover, and I do start to injure myself over time. So 20 to 25 miles is the max per week for me. But I go through cycles. I try to cycle some of the fitness stuff. So I'll go through seasons where like I'll train for a marathon, or I'll get really into it for 6 months. Right now I'm in a season where I haven't been running that much. I've been focusing on other things, which we'll talk about here in a second. But I'll still kind of throw in a couple of runs every month. And then I've been learning how to fight recently. So like boxing, a little bit of Muay Thai, a little bit of sparring. It's been really fun for me, learning how to do that. Insane cardio. It's an insane workout. So that's kind of been filling the void for running. My last kind of obsession was mountain biking. So that was kind of like my last thing, getting back into surfing. So I always kind of have like an extracurricular exercise routine beyond lifting weights. Lifting weights is the staple. I think that building muscle is super important. I really do think it, like for human mechanics, maybe not building this much muscle, but building some muscle, I think is really, really important for the health of your bones. And I just think muscle is important. Now, you don't need to be a bodybuilder or be jacked by any means, but I think having some baseline of strength is really powerful. And then I like to have some extracurriculars, and then something that gives me my cardio. Honestly, I love lifting weights, but nothing hits like cardio. For me, cardio is the greatest way to tap out, check into a different reality, tune out for a minute, get the endorphins flowing. Like there's nothing that hits quite like cardio. So that's actually what I enjoy the most, but I still lift weights. And then on top of that, I'm trying to get more mobile. Of course, doing all of those physical things and lifting weights, your body takes a toll for sure. And what I do definitely is probably not like the most health optimized, because I get a lot from it beyond just the health benefits. So I try to stretch for at least 30 minutes every day, and I'm pretty damn consistent. I rarely miss on that. And I'll do like a blend of like mobility meets yoga exercises, and I typically get like 2 to 3 massages per week. Next question is, what is one thing that I'm currently proud of? I don't know. That's probably something that I don't give myself enough credit for. I can be very tough and critical, just like any human being. But one thing that I think I am proud of is thinking about the other and thinking less about me. Just as like a random example, tonight after I'm done filming this video, I'm actually going out to dinner with, oddly enough, my massage therapist and her family. And we met her last time when we came to Bali in March. Totally hit it off. She's an amazing woman. Her sister comes and massages us, so Sarah and I get massages with both of them. They're both so awesome. They're locals here in Bali, and I just love them. I love the energy that they bring. They're so sweet. They're taking such good care of us. They're just such amazing people. I can't stress that enough. And I'm like, you know what? Before we go, I want to take them out to dinner. I want to get to know them. I want to learn about their life story. I want to know what it was like growing up in Bali, and I want to take them out to an amazing dinner. I want them to bring their husbands or their family. And so after this, we're going and doing that together. And so I think as I've gotten older, it's just, less about me, man. And I think in the beginning, when you're trying to prove yourself or become something, like there's a lot of focus on me, becoming someone, becoming impressive, becoming an individual. After a while, that game is just so boring. It's so devoid of meaning. And perhaps it is important work at some point in a man's life or a woman's life. But I think for men, we do need to kind of go on that journey to discover who we are and test ourselves, whether it's through starting a business or what. I just think that men are lost nowadays, to be honest. I'm not trying to profile this based off of genders at all, but I think most men are lost. I think men need challenge to discover who they are, and that might mean a season of being somewhat self-absorbed or being focused on yourself and being selfish. But I'm really shaking that off and just trying to do more of that, trying to do more good in the world for the folks that I come across. I've set like a little budget for myself every month while I'm here in Bali, just kind of like a do-good budget, every day, like whether it's giving money to kids selling stuff on the street or giving money just to people that really wow you or leaving like a 500% tip or, whatever, like just having that, just, creating like the intention behind it and saying every month I'm setting aside X amount to give out to moments where I feel like, wow, that person was so amazing, or that was such a special moment, or I can see this person needs some help, or I can see this person, I might be able to, even if it's not about money, maybe I can just bring them a smile or do something that makes them feel seen and makes them feel loved. And so, that's been something I've been proud of, and I think like an iteration that I'm going through personally. The next question is, would I ever think about actually creating a real mastermind? So as you guys know, we run Leah. That is our 12-month kind of accelerator program for taking folks from 0 to 6 figures in their land investing business. It is bar none the best program out there. Ask anyone. It is the best program out there to build a 6-figure land business. There's not even a question. Is it cheap? No, it's not cheap, but the value is well in excess of out of any beginner program in the land space. There's not even a close comparison. And that's why we have a 12-month, six-figure guarantee inside of Leah. But Leah is certainly not for the advanced land investor. In fact, when people graduate Leah, most times they are ready for something else. Now, some folks do renew. I'd say about a third of people inside of Leah do renew, but a lot of folks are ready for greener pastures or bigger opportunities, and that makes sense, right? It really is a beginner program. So the number one question I get when people graduate Leah is like, okay, what's next, man? Like, what can I go through? There's two things that we're working on currently that aren't a mastermind. The first thing is the Leah Marketing Blueprint Program, which shows you how to 2x your lead flow by adding in kind of our marketing flywheel, our blueprint marketing system into your land business. Once you graduate Leah, it's a done for you program. So we actually go and set up the marketing systems in your business. Our team literally goes and does it for you, builds it out, and then you run it. It's an insane program. For folks that are inside of Leah, they usually graduate Leah generating anywhere from like 30 to 90 leads a month. With this system, you'll literally 2x your lead flow overnight. It's bananas. So that's the next project that we're working on. That's another kind of boot camp program that'll be like in like 8-week increments or so. The next one's our acquisition manager program. I'll show you how to build acquisition teams, how to hire them, how to train them, how to retain them. Because what we've noticed is like, okay, you need to get good at selecting markets, you need to get good at pricing markets, you need to get good at direct mail, you need to get good at acquisitions yourself. Typically you need to hire an AM somewhere in that process and then start adding on additional marketing systems. Like that's kind of like the natural career path for folks inside of Leah. And I think it should be the natural career path for the typical land investor. I think everyone should start with mail, in my opinion. I just think it is the best way if you're starting and you're not full-time in this business and you have a job, or you have other obligations. Mail is the bee's knees, in my opinion, and it's tried and true, high levels of trust. But it's not the best marketing channel, full stop, in general. I just think it's full stop the best marketing channel for new people. So again, the question is, would you ever start like a real mastermind? And there's a lot of times that people use the mastermind word, myself included, and we don't really mean a mastermind, right? For example, we're hosting our Leah Mastermind in Las Vegas, October 11th, 12th, and 13th. It's more of a conference, more of a land event than anything else than it really is a mastermind. Tickets are $299. Like it's not a mastermind, right? There's hundreds of people going. So it's a little different. A mastermind is like you get in a circle with like 10 other people that are at a similar level of you, and you powwow and you share strategies and you get deep with each other and you counsel each other and you help each other. Like that's a mastermind. So it comes up a lot, and the answer is maybe. I've been working with some folks like Rylan, who is the biggest land investor inside of Leah, and I truly do think one of the biggest land investors in the land space right now. If you knew the scale of this guy's business, your jaw would be on the floor. Like, I just don't think there's anyone at that scale, at least not on that scale of marketing, and that one I'm positive of. And so we've got some heavy hitters. We've got Michael Bull inside of Leah. I mean, we've got some really impressive folks in there that are top of the food chain when it comes to the flipping world. And these aren't developers. These aren't like subdivide experts. These aren't entitlement experts. No. These are folks that are the top of the game as it relates to marketing, as it relates to kind of flipping your standard properties, as it relates to finding really creative ways to take down these deals, as it relates to finding the best markets and dispositions and team building and all that stuff that comes with running like a high volume flipping business. And so I've thought about it, right? I love the idea of getting like really tight knit. Like, how can I find the 50 best land investors? We all get in the same room. We meet up, in Bali once a year. We meet up in the US once a year. We have sessions weekly. You're in kind of defined cohorts based off of where you're at in your business. Maybe you even have like a business therapist in the group that counsels you when shit gets hard, because shit does get hard. Like, that's what I would want. That's what I want personally. I don't know if others want that, but I might create that for myself, honestly, because nothing like it exists currently. And so the answer is maybe. It's not the highest thing on my list. If I can get Rylan and a few folks on board that are just at the top of the game, could be something that we look into for sure. The question is, what are my feelings around cold calling for land investors? Good question. Cold calling, I've got a bone to pick with it. I think it's okay. I don't think it's amazing, to be honest. Like, I've looked at a lot of the back end systems for a lot of folks that are running cold calling. There's a lot of folks that start cold calling and end cold calling. That kind of tells you something. I think it's okay. Like, I definitely would add it into a land business. I don't think it's a bad marketing channel at all. I really don't think it's a bad marketing channel. But if you look at a lot of these like marketing cold calling agencies, like, they have high churn. I think there's better places to start. I think it's kind of the icing on the cake for someone that's hit all the other bases or a lot of the other bases. It's not like the first marketing channel that I would use. Even people that bring it in-house. I've had a lot of friends that have brought it in-house to do it for 6 months, and it's like, just not worth it, right? So it does work. I typically see like 4 to 6x ROAS on it. So definitely lower than other channels. Now, if you're using something like Land Insights and you're scrubbing your list and you're list stacking and you're getting really, really deep with it, you can definitely get better results than what I just mentioned. That's kind of like folks that aren't on that level on the data side. So I think you could definitely get it where it's cruising at 10x ROAS. I just don't think most people are there. I don't really see it. But I think it does make sense if you're going after the right kinds of properties. So if you're going after like super high fidelity, high value properties, and honestly, if you're like a US based person, I think that's a cool combo. Like if you're going after big deals or deals with like title issues, like just, confusing properties that require nuance and you're cold calling people and you're like a cold calling savage, or maybe it's even just you or like whatever. Like I think that can work. But if you're using that $1,200 a month VA in the Philippines to cold call those deals, I think it's silly. And if you're using them to go cold call the flips, I think you would have just a much better system going and using other marketing channels. That's just kind of my 2 cents. So I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't personally use it in my business today. I could see myself adding it in at some point. I think the economics when you start using an agency start to get a little tricky. I just don't think the returns are okay. And I could be wrong. Like maybe someone out there is absolutely killing it, but from everything that I've seen, the numbers are okay. The next question is around my cold emailing system for land investors. So if you guys do know, or maybe you don't know, I've been doing this for about 6 months in my land business. Mixed results. We're getting a lot better. Like we definitely kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. We were pretty bad at it out of the gate. I mean, even to figure the thing out was so confusing. Like there's so much red tape there. They make it so challenging. And so we were really spinning our wheels for like 3 months. Then like the last 2 months, we were like kind of getting some traction, but like our open rates were horrible. We were having domains getting blacklisted or email addresses getting blacklisted because they're getting reported as spam, like all sorts of weird stuff, right? And we've just started to slowly turn the corner. In fact, we had one of our best weeks, if not our best week this week through cold email. So things are definitely getting situated. And I think it could be one of the better marketing channels for us in 2025. I'm really, really excited about it. I've actually been working with a guy named Mayor, some of you guys may or may not know, on a project that goes around this. We've been working on this together, partnered up with what he was working on, because I was like, dude, this is awesome. And building out something, I think it was kind of like a cool plug and play system. This landemails.com, if you guys want to check it out. But something that we'll kind of be like slowly releasing via beta and just kind of allowing a few people to come in and test drive our system. So right now we're seeing about a 40% open rate, 2 to 4% response rate, maybe like a 1% conversion to lead, and like a $40,000 average gross profit on the deals that we're doing through cold email. So really, really exciting. Folks will be able to get direct access to the team that we built, the team that we personally use, direct access to all of our scripts. We'll manage all of it, deliverability. We'll set up all the domains, all the emails. So I'm kind of excited to roll it out just like a select few. I think if someone's aggregated like a war chest of data, really cool plug and play system to add on top of it, I wouldn't recommend doing it for brand spanking new. But if you've got like this, like, hey, I've got a Google Drive with 1 million data points in it, I think it's a great thing to add into. The next question is about my relationship. Someone said, tell me about your relationship with Sarah. If you guys don't know, Sarah's my girlfriend. We just hit our 2-year anniversary, but we've actually known each other for over 6 years, which is absolutely bonkers to me that we've known each other for that long. Where do I even start? Well, I've been in a few relationships in my day. I've been in like 3 really, really serious long-term relationships, and honestly, a whole bunch of little flings in between, and was always looking for something that I just didn't think existed. I needed someone that understood me. I live a pretty weird life and have different worldviews and want different things for my life than a lot of people want. I guess I'm not very traditional in that sense. Wanted someone that was entrepreneurial, ideally. Wanted someone that was down for anything. Hey, you want to go and pack our bags and fly to Hawaii tomorrow? Yes, let's do it. I wanted someone that had already like cultivated a life of some kind of freedom. That sounds weird, but if I was dating with someone that was like at a different stage in their life and doing adventures, was like, oh, I got like this responsibility, or I'm like in law school, or I don't have the money, or, whatever. Like when you're starting to date someone, if they're in a different season of their life, it's just really hard to do what you want to do. And so we caught each other at the same exact season in our life. We love doing the same things. Like we have a lot of the same interests. Like we work out together, we box together. Like we love spending time together. And I think beyond our relationship, the most important thing that Sarah and I have is we have respect for each other. I respect her as a person deeply. She's a very impressive person. There are few people that have her level of discipline and consistency and just general good nature and optimism and positivity. If anyone's ever met her, she's infectious. Her energy's infectious. She's a ray of light in a lot of ways. And yeah, just respect her. And I think the feeling is mutual. And that's kind of like been the first principle in our relationship, is to respect one another. And then we have a deep, deep friendship. And then it's that we love each other. and we have a relationship and a romantic relationship. And on top of it, I think this is important. People don't talk about this. We are also attracted to each other, right? And I think in relationship, it's really easy to lose that. It's easy to lose maybe taking care of yourself. And we've all fallen victim to that. I've done that. Like, we all do that. And I think that's not one thing that's allowed our relationship to sustain too, is we haven't lost that. You know, we still try to present ourselves to each other and win each other over and catch each other's eye and do things that keep the romance alive. And, you know, I just love that. And I think that one of the cool things about our relationship is we have the perfect male-female dynamic. And this is just me personally. I'm not saying that this is the right way, but I needed a girl that was deeply female. I love that. I love the polarity. I love the differences. I love being able to feel like I can be the guy and they can be the girl. Like I'm old school in that sense, I guess. And I'm not saying that's the way, whatever you want. But we have that real polarity, and for me, that's amazing. Like, I love that. That's what I've always wanted. I always imagined myself being with someone that was very feminine. I just love being around that energy. And so I think that's something that like has given us a lot of sustainability. And it's not that she doesn't have her own opinions or push back on me or what have you, but she also lets me lead. She lets me take charge and lets me fill the area that I feel like I'm good. I don't even know how to phrase it without being politically incorrect and peeving someone, but like it's just like two puzzle pieces locking together. And I think on some level, I think a lot of men and women want this. I think a lot of men and women have been conditioned by this whole political correctness BS. And I'm not here to judge what you do, but also don't judge what we've been doing for eons. And I believe that we should have equal rights across the board. And I believe that like it should be fair in relationships and it shouldn't be lopsided, but at the same time, we have strengths and weaknesses. Let's allow us to rise to the occasion and where we feel like we have strengths. And it's not always going to be textbook male-female dynamics. Like maybe the man loves to decorate the house. That's fine. But it's like, if there's an altercation, let me rise to the occasion. Let me step up. Let me use my voice. Let me protect. Let me feel like that's me, you know? And that to me is just important. And so, weird example, but it's important. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. We're going to wrap up the Q&A here. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of these, please let me know down in the comment box below. And I appreciate your time. Take care of yourself. Talk soon. Hey guys, I want to let you know that inside of Leah, that is our 12-month group coaching program, we have added a 6-figure guarantee. That's 6 figures in gross pipeline profit in 12 months, or we will work with you until you get there. Now, that is not a guarantee that you will hit 6 figures in pipeline profit in 12 months. No, that is a guarantee that we will get you there no matter what the timeline is. Might happen in 3 months, might happen in 6 months, might happen in 24 months. The guarantee is you get a plug into our system, which is essentially a business in a box for land flipping, and we'll scale you to 6 figures together. And if we don't do it in 12 months, we will work with you for free until you get there. There is no offer out there that provides a guarantee like this. Will it be challenging? Absolutely. Will you be tested? Absolutely. But if you think you've got what it takes and you're ready to build a business that changes your life in 2024 and beyond, I want you to go to landinvestor.co/apply.